What is poppin', y'all? I'm Christopher.
And I'm Ray.
And this is the Flow and Grow podcast. What do you think the difference is, and what's the best thing to get started into the scene? Like,
what prop is a good first prop?
Yeah.
Okay. It depends on what motivates the person to learn, because if they like the challenge, I've repeatedly seen people start with poi just because they want the challenge of being able to wrap their heads around it. But as far as ease of getting into it, I feel like staff would be the easiest.
Yeah, I see that.
There's more time to anticipate than necessarily with poi.
Okay.
What's your opinion?
Poi was my first. It was kind of like, it looks intimidating from the outside, I feel like, but it looks really awesome to see, so people would want to jump into it. I would say something more of like a one type of item, like a staff or a hula hoop, I think is the best way to first jump into it. I already danced, so I'm able to like know 1 verse 2 from left and right, so I feel like that's why I was able to jump into poi so easy.
Mm-hmm.
But I think staff, you're right with that. I think staff would be a very good first one.
Yeah. In my first exposure to flow arts, the first prop was always juggling. And it's not the easiest place to start.
Yeah.
But there's something about the way that it unlocks your mind to keeping your attention in multiple places at once that everyone thought was like an important opening trial by fire.
Yeah, juggling. Oh, I learned how to juggle in the kitchen while using spatulas. So I can never really do clubs. I don't know why, but I would be sitting around on the line. I just start flipping spatulas. The next thing you know, I'm like, let me get 3 of these. I got 3. I can do it, but I can only walk and juggle. I can't sit in one spot. I have to move.
You have to
juggling.
move.
Yeah, it's weird.
That's
I don't
funny.
know. Yeah, every time I feel like I pick up another prop, though, I feel like I'm cheating on my poi. Because, like, poi on my babies, like, that was my first. What was your first?
Poi.
Poi?
Yeah.
Yes, I dig that. Well, the first time, so what got me, the first time I seen poi was fire poi. So
Nice.
I didn't spin fire for about a year and a half into spinning, just because, I don't know, I always was scared from it, and I never had a teacher for it, so I never knew. So I would always just stick to LEDs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because like they're cool to watch, but I think the best thing for me was I could turn 2 different colors, so I knew the difference of what each hand was doing.
And you could identify which ones might need tighter planes or going a bit
exactly.
wilder.
Yup.
Yeah.
Yup. So like, my first set, I got a set of cheap spin pois. I think they're like $5 online, or spin balls maybe they might be called. So I would start there for people who have never really jumped in. They want some LEDs. That's a good cheap one. Ultra Poi has like $70 poi right now. The ones that I just you already had of, those are on sale right now.
Yeah, they're a good weight too. I like the ones that are much lighter weight for learning it, because you want to focus on technique instead of some of the accentuated contact stuff that's available with the heavier props.
Yeah.
But both are very solid choices.
Yeah. I like, so going with the weight. Yeah, I would think it's very smart to start off first with the smaller ones, the lighter, just because. So a lot of people don't know you need to stretch before getting into it. There's been a lot of damage to the shoulders that are underlying. Like, people don't realize that a lot of it can be stemmed from spinning props. So when you're going up and that turn of arm, so people want to widen their whole way out. You don't want to extend that. You kind of want to stay loose and tight.
Yeah.
So that's why the stretching comes in, so your muscles are tight when you're moving.
Yeah.
So
my first explorations back into physical form, 'cause I played sports when I was younger, but it had been all of high school and college, was through yoga. So it was through the stretching. So I was nice and ready when I got to my toys.
Yeah, I got into flow before yoga, so I wasn't too apt into the scene, and then like, it's so intermingled, like flow, EDM, and musical producing, and yoga. It's just all intermingled. So I started seeing more yoga artists. And I look at that. That is its own flow too, like on its own, like especially acro yoga. I love watching that.
Mm-hmm. You were talking earlier about LED versus fire. The first time I ever saw flow was with fire, on fire.
Okay.
And that is what inspired me to learn in the first place. It's like, oh, I too could be that badass.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was just ready. I was ready for that fire. I had a lot of friends that were doing fire performing for the Cincinnati Circus, so I would be like, hey, can I take the end of your burns? I can just get it when the flame's already really weak, and maybe even just hold it or make little circles, but I just like want to feel the power.
That's genius. So I've never thought about that. So because around the end of your burn, the fire isn't as hot. So if you pass it off to more newcomers halfway through, they don't have to have that intimidation of the big flame at the beginning, the spill off from the oil. That's genius.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to start doing that with new people.
That's also why they do all of their body contact wraps and stuff on the second half, is so that.
I understand that. Yes. So, going from that, I'd like to say that, so being struck and out of flow arts for a while, it has really made me realize how much it does affect my mind. So I got in an accident October 24th. It's kind of left my shoulder immobile towards poise spinning. I can do some hula hoop. I can do maybe staff, not as much with my right arm, but my left. But it is so much more emotional and mental to me than it is physical, not being able to spin that. Every day I wake up and it was routine. I pick up my poi, I'd start spinning. I even made a song about it. It's wake up in the morning, grab my poi, and it is on. I try to leave my room, but my hands are on my balls. Get your head up out the gutter. I'm talking about another set of balls. So like every day is my poi rotation. Like it's in routine. So being able to wake up now, I don't know. I don't know what to do. My hands are just, I feel lost. I don't know. I need to like start watching people's videos more or something, just to get like inspired and live vicariously through other people.
Yeah, I always had a lot of movement in me. Like I was the kid that was trying really hard not to rock in class and clicking pens and doodling just to have something to do with my hands. So the second I got toys, I was like, oh, now I have a thing to fiddle with intention, like a skill to subconsciously develop as I do other things. That's the same thing behind the old world cliches of like absent-mindedly shuffling cards while you think, or tending to a pipe, like an old-fashioned librarian pipe, while you think off into the distance. It's all our bodies need to be occupied while our minds are active. It helps us think better to use both at the same time, to be full-bodied in our experience of thinking.
I can see that, definitely. It's just it keeps that beat, that subconscious beat. I feel like it's like a metronome that like when you're making music, you don't realize it's there. It's just like so it kind of like it keeps the mind sane. I could see what you're saying by that. I use it a lot. Flow for me, I use a lot because I've been clean of alcohol for almost 5 years now. So when I go out, since being in the flow scene, wanting to be a performer, wanting to film it, you're around drinking and all of that life all the time. So I would take my poi with me to bars, and if I feel uncomfortable, I will tell them, I'm sorry guys, I need a second. I'm gonna go off and do me for a moment. And I pull my poi out of my bag or wherever I have them at, and I will spin till I can't spin. My heart feels fine. I can walk back into that bar, not even think about a drink. So it's like, I call it trigger tying. Is what it is. So when I feel that trigger point of wanting to drink again, I tie it to the flow art. So now I'm taking a negative feeling of wanting to drink and turning it positive, because now when I want to drink, I want to spin. So I don't even think about the drinking, I'm thinking about the spinning. So
nice. Mental rewiring.
Yes.
Replacement habits that are positive.
That's been the biggest thing. I went to rehab and I relapsed on my 30 days after, so that wasn't strong for me. I try to tell people like the flow is what got me sane and out into my own mind.
Yes. Whenever I get stressed, I really find poi to be like a positive recycling of my energy, because you put a little bit into the handle and then the circumnavigational force recycles it and then puts it right back in you. So I think of that as literally like the recycling of my energy into something more positive. Yes,
and it's continuously cycling. I like that. As a concurrent. That's cool.
It's like refreshing the air conditioning, you know? And when I had this phrase, whenever I was in a social circumstance and things got awkward, I would start spinning out of nowhere and just be like, just keep spinning, just keep spinning, just keep spinning, spinning. What do you do when you're low? You just keep spinning.
That was beautiful. We need more flow arts related music.
Yes, we do. We so do.
I think we could do a lot with that. So if we had more, so I know a couple producers. They don't make the music though, but they spin. I feel like if we could collab with one of them, it could be huge because that brings the flow art community into the music community even more than it already is.
Yeah.
I could see that. We could have like a national flow anthem or something.
Yeah. And shout out to all the DJs and producers who have flown just enough to know the right beats per minute for props.
Yes.
Because I can tell and I appreciate when I'm flowing to some music and I feel that subtle adjustment. That's like, okay, now we're in sync.
Yeah.
Now we're in sync.
You get like a nice build up. The beats is I can't. So I was a dancer before flow, so I cannot spin without music. It just it doesn't work for me unless I'm spinning fire because there's music in the sound of the fire. But
it's true.
Without music, I just feel lost. I don't know what I would want to do. Because I want to dance when I'm spinning. Like you got some people that are tech, you got some people that are more flow. I'm a little of both. I feel like, but without the music and the flow, I don't think I can do tech.
Yeah, I was just at the Colorado parade, doing staff and dragon staff with the Colorado Fire Tribe, and that we had a drum line with us. And I needed that drum line. I was worried the whole way there, like, but is there gonna be music, or are we just gonna be walking down between all these people trying not to feel awkward? And you can see in the recordings that were taken when the drummers stop, and all of a sudden I'm going into a standby twirl. And then the drums pick back up, and then all of a sudden I'm improving again, getting back into it.
That's cool. So they had, was it the drummers behind y'all, and they continued to keep moving while you guys were just walking and spinning?
Yes.
Yes. You guys, you need to check this out. I'm pretty sure it's on Ray's page, but it is a march of fire flow. It's beautiful.
Yes, just seeing that many people burning. Also, just them all being qualified enough to burn in that close of a proximity without hitting each other.
Yeah.
If you are a flow artist, will be a level of appreciation in and of itself, much less all the talent that was there.
Right. How many flow artists were at that then?
35 maybe?
Okay.
Maybe upwards of 50. It felt like a lot of people, but I didn't actually take the time to count. But yeah, it was really good. Hadn't actually had an experience where I was walking and keeping up with a crowd while spinning flow arts, and I realized it provided all sorts of new opportunities to be more dancey and also to interact with audience and obstacle. But like there were these cones, and it was a fun thing to like dart around in between the cones. And like when I first started practicing poi, I knew I wanted to do it with people, and that inspired me to go practice in the woods and start spinning between the trees and just find like denser and denser patches of trees to like dodge between.
I do that with like with street bars. So when I would like, let's say I'm downtown and I'm spinning after an event or something, and I'll see a street sign, I'll do that. I'll walk and I'll toss the point on one side of the sign and catch it over here. It's fun. It's different. Like you can do something different.
Well, are we gonna round up then?
Yeah, I think that's good. We hit some good points here today. Flow and Grow podcast. I'm Chris.
And I'm Ray.
Thank you for watching.